welcome to the True to Life podcast with Nanik Tagore. I'm super excited for this episode today. Here with a mentor, close friend of mine, my basketball coach in high school. He wears so many different hats every day. And yeah, this is Coach Fred. Super happy to bring this episode out to you. We're going to touch on a lot of things, your background, how you got involved in the education field, your time as athletic director, and so much more. So let's get straight to it. So with those many hats that you wear, I kind of want to take it back. How did you get started in sports? And just talk about your background with that.
So in sports, born in Florida, and I remember the day that my father signed me up for basketball, and I was scared out of my mind. I'll have to be honest. 6 years old, seeing my cousins play it, but never really knew much about the game. So when my dad said, he was taking me to go sign up, I got scared. And I remember the first year playing, I scored no points that year. It was very disappointing.
Yeah.
But, as time went on, got better, had a little bit more fun with it. I was blessed to have older cousins that, taught me the game as well as my father did. And then I ran into a lot of great coaches. My young coaches, when I was young, really put me on a path to enjoy the game and to see it a different way. I remember going to basketball camps when we moved to Louisiana. In Baton Rouge, we would go to Southern University basketball camp. And there was a coach by the name of Ben Job. Ben Job, man, he was the guy I wanted to play for.
Yeah.
But the thing was, Ben Job said he wouldn't recruit me because I deserved to go somewhere bigger than Southern University, which is the HBCU. But I just admired him, just his character. He was an older African-American male and carried himself with a lot of poise. And I really was drawn to it. But ended up going to Old Dominion University out of high school of Live Oak High School in Watson, Louisiana. Senior year, I was second in the state scoring, but I learned quickly in college I had to learn how to play defense because everybody can score, right?
Something I'm still learning right now. It's very important. We talked about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I knew the way to stay on the floor was I had to pick my defense up, and I was 6'3", 150 at the time. So, D1 guards, 6'5", they beefy. So
I've seen the photos. String bean. Yeah.
The praying mantis is what I used to always say, right?
It.
But yeah, that's how I got into the basketball. 6 years old and fell in love with it, ran with it, and Coach Capel, late great Coach Capel, Jeff Capel, pushed me toward coaching. I always had a dream of playing beyond college years, but Coach Capel said, man, you got a mind on you. So that's how I shifted into the coaching world.
Yeah, that was something we talked about too when we went to the Amazing Showcase, about how in college he was already almost prepping you for that, as he saw that to be what was next for you, which is really cool, and how he was like a mentor for you in that way. In that way, I thought that's really cool. So with your time as in high school and then a college athlete, what was your balance like as balancing the books and the court aspect of it?
All right, let's be honest. So
I love it. Yeah, let's do it.
High school, everything was basketball in school. So I didn't do a lot outside of that. If I, may keep it honest, Live Oak High School in Watson, Louisiana, predominantly white. We're talking the down south, where going out wasn't an option for me. My parents were very protective, and I understood why. I didn't get a lot of stuff that happened as far as racist situations, things of that nature. If anybody, it would be the older people that were the ones that were showing their ways, right? I got along fine with students, but my parents just never wanted me to be out. So I didn't live a life outside of basketball in school besides my family. College, I kind of wilded out a little bit, right? Spread my wings a little bit, and had to learn how to adjust. Had to learn how to really focus in school, in class, because I was the only one that could hold me accountable, right? Had teammates that would do it, but college was different, and you had to learn very quickly. You're becoming a young adult at this point, and then you are around other people that are a little bit older, and they're going to guide you. Hopefully you're around the right people and guide you in the right direction. And I had that. I had some great teammates that, hey, we're going to have time to do this, but for right now, this is what we need to do.
So on your college team, did you guys have like requirements as far as like grade checks and study hall and stuff like that? Was that all the same?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that's probably why I'm like a huge stickler on it. We had to go to class. If we were caught not in class, coaches will go around, had your schedules. If you were caught not in class, that was called Breakfast Club. You had to run 5 miles at 5 in the morning, and the whole team had to run it.
Even if it was only one person.
Even if it was only one person. So that was just a way of holding each other accountable, because if you were the one that made us run, then, it was going to be trouble in the locker room later on, right? There was going to be some roughhousing. Yes, study hall, if you were below a 2.5, it was mandatory study hall, just because we didn't want anybody to slip through the cracks. And that study hall was in the evening, was 7 to 9. It was after a long, strenuous day.
It's tough. Yeah, with your class already, your workouts, everything.
Workouts, man, it's just, again, you have to learn, and you have to learn quickly, because if you don't, you could stumble, get left behind a little bit.
Yeah, especially in the rotation, too.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's always a next guy up mentality kind of thing. With the coaches, I mean, if you're not hitting your shots, hey, I'm going to give this guy a chance.
Absolutely.
Or if you're not taking classroom seriously, okay, it's like, it sounds terrible, but you're almost disposable in the way that they can get rid of you and find someone else in a heartbeat. These coaches get so many emails every day.
Well, so I always like to bring this in, and you and I have had our conversations before. That's their job.
Yeah.
Right? And they're getting paid. And, if you're going to a big school, prestigious school where, these coaches making, in the millions, it's their job. So your job actually is to make sure you're performing and doing what you're supposed to do. And, there's pros and cons to it all, right? Just like it is in life. But you got to figure it out, And then if you do kind of fall off a little bit, how do you get back on? What do you do? Who do you surround yourself with? Talking to the coach, having somebody to confide in. All these things matter. And, at the end of the day, that's just the way life is. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing you've learned a lot of things along the way. So if you could have the opportunity to go back, or just hypothetically give your younger athlete self a piece of advice or coaching on how to, go through things a little bit more successfully or differently, would you do it?
Yeah, if I could.
What would you say?
What would I say? What I would tell that sophomore, younger self.
High school sophomore or college sophomore?
College sophomore. Okay. College sophomore year. It was a year, man. Because, my freshman year I did play a little bit. Played in some big games. And then sophomore year, I guess that sophomore slump came into effect. And I got to the point where I didn't care anymore, right? And didn't have any fight. So I would tell that younger me, like, hey, you got to figure this out. You can't be a victim. This happens. How do you get out of it? And I would have told that younger self that, because I figured it out later, but a whole season went by, and to the point where I almost transferred. And that's just something that, my father and my mother never taught me to do, never taught me to quit anything. So that was super tough. So I would have told that younger one, figure it out a little bit earlier, right? Although it has made me who I am today, so I'm also grateful for that.
100%.
On the flip side of it, too.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be the person you are if you didn't go through things the way you're supposed to. But obviously, looking back at it, I mean, you look back at things, there's always, you can nitpick what you could have done differently. But essentially just sitting in that struggle and just battling through it, as opposed to just dropping the care and the what, just leaving it behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's big. Okay, so I just want to get the story right. So after finishing out your college career, getting into coaching, and then was the transition from coaching into teaching, or was the coaching and teaching kind of blended for you from the jump?
Yeah, so after college, I actually went back home, kind of just worked odd jobs before getting into coaching. And funny as it may seem, a coach that recruited me out of southeastern Louisiana, his name is Coach Cox, Ronald Cox, and I want to say he's a high school principal now. He used to be a rival, like Southeastern, and you got LSU. So, I was trying to figure out about where to go as far as school. But he was at a high school that was a rival of mine. And he was like, hey, man, why don't you come on over? I need some bodies. He was like, you can take over the JV team, things of that nature. So immediately once I got into it, man, I fell in love with the grind of it, and the not knowing. And what I mean by that is, you can have game plans, you can have this, and you can have that, right? And as a young coach, when those things are not going your way, right? Like how do you make adjustments? That was the thing that really intrigued me as far as coaching. How do you make adjustments? What adjustments do you make? When do you make the adjustment? Do you make it now,
That's the
or
game
do you
within
wait?
the game. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do I make it? On the next time out? Do I wait till the half? Am I playing chess against this other coach? So as a young coach, I always loved that unknown piece. Like, okay, when do I do this? And that's when things work out. So the second part of your question, as far as coaching and teaching, honestly, they're both the same. Coaches teach, teachers coach. It's no difference. It's just you do it in whatever expertise that you have, right, in whatever craft that is. So I've always felt that it was, I don't want to say easy because then I don't want to take away from what teachers do, right?
Yeah.
But it was natural coming into the teaching world and the educational world.
Having coached
I haven't coached for so long because, I didn't get my teacher credential until later on. But I've been coaching for a long time and had some success here and there and I've learned a lot. The teams that I've coached and the players that I've had, such as yourself, have like really channeled what it is that I do and how I do it. So now I'm in the classroom and I'm learning from that side of things, and I've had administrators in my life that say, hey, man, like, you're able to impact your team. What about trying to impact more? And I never thought about it like that.
Because your team's only the 10 or 15 guys you have there.
Absolutely.
And you're so valuable to them. But
and
how could you be for real?
And it's such a captive audience, right? Because hopefully all the guys want to be there, right?
They're bought
That's
in.
on the team,
Yeah.
right? So when you get into the classroom and the dynamic that happens with that, which, sometimes I get frustrated, right? Because I'm in the classroom and then it's like what I'm teaching. And you and I have had this conversation before, and I'm talking about life skills or something like that, and certain individuals not even paying attention.
And you're talking right to them.
I'm talking to them, right? And it's like, man, I'm not going to get through to this person, right? So how do you handle that? See, as a coach on a team, if some person's not on the same page, hey, you sit on the bench. Or
it's an immediate, you can see a change.
It's whatever, right? But classroom, the kids are here. So what do you do? How do you do it? And I'll say it like that's probably the biggest thing, and that's probably the biggest difference between the two.
I really like you drawing the comparison between teachers and coaches, because I never thought about it like that. Mm-hmm. That like the teacher is essentially like the coach of their own classroom, because they have to get those 20 or 30 kids, however many they have, to buy in to the classroom, the lesson plans, and everything else. Otherwise, they're not going to want to do the work. I mean, you see that a lot, especially at San Juan. Like, kids aren't really bought in sometimes, so they don't really see the point in doing some of the smaller tasks from teachers. So that was a cool way of putting that. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Counselor here, so when I took over for student government, she told me, she goes, hey, you just coaching basketball now in the classroom with student government. And I didn't think about it like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been doing because
this.
Yeah. So and that's why student government is fun to me. Yeah.
It's been going well. Speaking of student government, my brother's in there. He's been doing a lot of work, and you guys have been really shifting the culture with San Juan. And I think it's because your leadership too, and your willingness to work with the kids and stuff like that. So it's truly a testament to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So restorative justice, that's a major part of what you do here at San Juan, in addition to the student government stuff now. So how'd you get started in the RJ here at San Juan? And Encina, because you were at Encina as well.
Yes, at Encina. So, I mean, it's something that I was just doing. So, matter of fact, I was having this discussion with class today. I think it really started when I was working in Davis when I first moved out here to California. And I was working in Davis, and I was working at a level 14 facility. And level 14 is one below juvenile detention center. So that meant we could restrain, we could put our hands on if a kid, was having an outburst or did something in class, right? But always, I didn't like it, right? So I always was trying to find a way to not
not get to that extreme.
Not to get to that extreme.
Absolutely.
So was fortunate enough to understand how to talk to individuals, right? And even in times when they might not necessarily see me, right? So anyway, ended up leaving that job, and I went to Encina, where I was already a JV basketball coach, and just got into conflict mediation. It was something that they needed, and so got into conflict mediation, and from there it just skyrocketed. And I learned the different ways to kind of deal with people and whenever they're having certain situations or things of that nature. So it geared me to do the restorative practice of restorative justice. And then I moved over here to San Juan, and it was just RJ.
Yeah.
And then we wrote a curriculum for it, made it a class because it was just mainly a program. And it was grant funded, and a lot of times grants, they run out. So we went to the board and wrote the curriculum. They said, yes, this is class. This is just what it's been for a while now. And now I can teach students on the regular how to deal with conflict, how to facilitate circles in order to, get to the bottom of it. Also spoke to them, again, we have to remember, this is an indigenous practice. This is something that our folks did a long time ago, right? When chiefs, when kings of certain villages needed to talk, figure out things, something was going wrong, maybe the crops are not growing the way that they need to. Everybody sat in a circle because everybody was equal. So they sat there, and of course, like they had something to pass because everybody had a voice, but the person that had that talking piece was the one that was able to talk. But that's the way that they handle situations. So they didn't necessarily go straight to a fight and being reactive. They handled the situation. So when I'm speaking to our kids, I need them to understand, like, this is something that worked. This is what ancestors, this is what elders, and it was also a way that they passed down information.
Through storytelling.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
And you did it in a circle, and you did it with a fire in front, which gave off the energy from those stories. It's a beautiful thing. So that's why I would say, like, no, it works. It works.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny thing is, like, restorative justice, it's an amazing class. Unfortunately, it was one of the only ones I didn't take when I was here at San Juan. Ironically enough, with how much time we've spent together, if you were able to, like, put it in, like, a cliff note of, like, what's, like, the big takeaway that people leave with from your class, what would it be if you could explain it in a few words?
That's a great question. There's so many ways to look at it. It could be layered, but if I had to pick one thing, the takeaway, it's okay for you to be right, and it's okay for me to be right, and we'll be able to still live amongst each other, not hating each other just because you think differently than what I think. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway.
I feel like oftentimes when people don't have the same agreements, or if they aren't on the same page, it's just they'll just agree to disagree in a sense, but they're still holding some kind of resentment or anger towards them, and it's never reaching, like, that true acceptance. Do you feel like through RJ people can still find that acceptance even if they don't agree?
Yeah, we had discussions today. So many people are caught up with the messenger that they miss the message. I might not like you.
Yeah.
And you might be speaking the truth, but the fact that I don't like you, I can't hear what you're saying.
You just shut off as soon as you hear it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's also tone, too. I mean, even putting this from, like, a leadership lens, like with basketball and your teammates, when you're trying to hold them accountable, it's also, like, the tone and how you're delivering what you're saying.
Absolutely. And see, the way I grew up, it was never about the messenger. It's the message. That's the only thing that matters because there's where the meat is, right? The rest of it is a facade because a person could be whatever it is at that moment, right? And you're holding them and what they're doing against the message. The message is always what you want anyway.
Message is plain, simple, and cut.
That's it.
So it just is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so as an AD, so put the AD hat on real quick. From all the student athletes that you see in all the different sports, what's your advice to them on how they can do better at the high school level?
It starts from within. When I mean within, it starts in the classroom, right? What I've seen over the years, right, is A lot of kids just think, if I go to practice, if I do this, on the court, then everything else works out. And as you know, when I've talked, everything starts from within, because if I'm taking care of all these smaller things, it leads to what I want on the court. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
They're not opposite of each other, right? So that's my firm belief. And that's just old school. It's just, you know what I mean? If you're taking care of your business, the rest of it follows, right? Where you're watering your plants, right? That's what's going to grow. So if I'm taking care of doing everything that I need to here, classroom, I'm nice to, you know what I mean, as many people as I can be, right? Am I going to have a bad day? Yes, but I'm nice to the custodians. I'm nice to, the kid that nobody usually goes to, right? All these things are going to make me a better player, right? And again, those things you would think have nothing to do with the sport, but they actually do.
No, I mean, what came to mind too, I wanted to write it down. It costs you nothing to give praise and acknowledge others. That's kind of what you're speaking to as well. And something I heard, I think it was a week or two ago, is you acknowledging someone else's leadership and praising what someone else is doing. It really means nothing to you and costs you nothing, but it could be everything for the other person.
Absolutely.
Like, you have no idea, because they could be on cloud nine for the next month just thinking about that compliment that they were given.
Absolutely.
So I think you hit that on the head with how important that is.
So I was able to present for staff here. Me and a colleague, we were able to present, and one of the last things that I did was called the power of touch, and I do it with the classes. Yeah. And when I experienced it, and I experienced it 9 years ago, one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. So anyway, did that with staff, and basically what it is you have what we call healers. The healers are inside of the circle. Everybody else is on the outside facing outward. Close your eyes, right? What I'll do is I'll read a prompt. One of the prompts could be, touch the shoulder of someone that made you laugh today. And then those healers that are inside the circle, they go around and they touch the shoulder. The point of it is, you never know how much it means to somebody. So when we did this, and even your mother was like, this was one of the most powerful things. She was like very iffy about it at first. Yeah. But it was very powerful because you never know what it is that somebody else sees in you and how you make them feel or impact or whatever the case may be. It was one of the most powerful experiences that we had here.
No, that's really special. I mean, you could even do that in the team setting
Absolutely.
Too, as like a team builder.
Yep.
I might actually steal that.
Got it, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, because it's like some people are maybe afraid to say it. They don't know how to word it. But, eyes closed, show that appreciation. Mm-hmm. And just to know that you're being acknowledged. Because, I mean, even just as humans, it's what we're all craving is like the acceptance. I mean, from a young age, like wanting your parents like just to be proud of you, stuff like that. Athletes, they want their coaches to like them. They want to make all their shots, stuff like that. They just want to get that praise. And, I mean, that's a way to acknowledge other people. So very, very, very special. Yeah. Okay, so what about the athletes that are struggling and they're having a hard time finding like their within or their why? How do you recommend reaching those students, and what would you say to them, like the ones that are far behind and struggling?
I try to get away from the sport. So anything that we do, I try to talk something that's outside of the sport to get their mind out of that, right? I think that's majorly key because, again, where you stay. So if you're staying in this area, right, where the struggle is, and there's nothing wrong with staying in for a little bit, right, to see what's going on, how to figure it out, but you can't lay in it. So if there's a struggle, let's say it's just sports specific, we're going to do something outside of that. We're going to figure out something else, right? Just to get your mind occupied off of something else, because then you get super zeroed, you're super focused, hyper focused on your struggle. And the longer you stay,
time to think about anything else. Yeah.
Absolutely, right? So sometimes you got to step away from it in order to see it with fresh eyes, right? Eyes and ears. Yeah, because there might be something that you didn't necessarily see. So I always think about it as going outside of the sport. Now, if you're struggling with academics, right? So now we got to go outside of that, figure out, right? Maybe your success is that you play ball well, right? But you're studying, you're struggling with your academics. So let's go shoot a couple hoops a little bit. Let's go somewhere where you have success. Now, when we come
Build
back
the
to look
confidence.
at, absolutely, yeah, we talk about it all the time, right? You miss a few shots, what do you got to do? You got to go hit a layup or you got to make a free throw, right? You got to see it going in the hole every once in a while. So that's the way I look at it.
That's how you build. I just heard you said layup, free throw. Would you mind just walking us through what your dad told you? How's the easiest way to get to 30 in a game? I just thought about it.
That was my freshman year of high school, and he said, hey, all you need to do is make 8 points a quarter.
Just break it down. However you want to get those, but that's all you got to do.
8 points a quarter, man, and I'm telling you. So I went from 12 points my freshman year. I went to 22 my sophomore year, went to 30 my junior year, and went to 36 my senior year. Yeah, it actually just became real easy because the majority of the time I spent on the free throw line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a fun little question.
Yeah.
So I know you've started off with some of the blog writing and the articles. You've
yes.
sent me some of those, as well as getting into the life coaching. And again, this is all in addition to the training you do on the side, athletic director, restorative justice, maybe not, getting back into coaching. Who knows?
Right.
That's still up in the air. So what got you into some of those other side deals, and what are you looking to get out of that?
I just feel like I was pushed that way, and not pushed in a way where it was forced.
Yeah.
I just have a knack with people, and I want to see people win as much as possible.
Success for others.
I just want to see people win, right? Because times is rough, especially when you look outside of your circle, right? And I try to make sure that I'm looking just where my circle's at, because at the end of the day, my life is beautiful, right? But then when you look outside of that, you look at the different scopes of things. Life could be pretty ugly, right? And a lot of people are, suffering. So I want to be a source of light. I want to be a blessing whenever it is that I walk out, whenever I see somebody that I can speak to, that I can hopefully engage them in a way where they now can go and be that to someone else, right? That's connection. That's the ultimate thing. So I'm hoping to grow my life coaching. I've done quite a lot of research and did my, accreditation and things of that nature. Now I'm a master life coach. So, I'm hoping to really run in that area. The writing is a release that, because most of the time, and as you know, this is this is a stretch for me to be camera, all that, right? So
I was going to bring it up at the end.
Yeah. So to write is a way for me to express what it is that I want to say without having to say it, in front of a camera or things of that nature. I'm just thinking of ways, man, to impact people, and I'm gonna be honest with you. You inspire me because I remember you were doing your training videos, right?
YouTube.
And you were like, yo, I want to leave a legacy. And I never thought about it like that. Like, I know what that is, but I never thought about it like that. And I'm like, yeah.
Just to have something that's up there forever.
Absolutely.
And who knows who's going to find it.
Absolutely.
It's up there. I mean, I'm going to keep those videos, even the YouTube videos from, junior and high school. Even if I haven't posted one and it's almost been a year, they're up there forever now. So if you ever want to look back, and I just have them to go back. I mean, YouTube's going to be around for a long time. And I mean, now with this, and just keep putting stuff out there into this, digital space, because you never know what's going to happen. I think it's really cool that you're getting in there as well, because, I mean, those articles are up there forever with your name, with everything that you're building, as well as like the life coaching. And I mean, I've been waiting for you to get some basketball training stuff in too, because you have so many good drills.
Yeah.
It's very special. The legacy piece,
I appreciate it.
What was your inspiration to get into life coaching?
Life.
And you've been doing it basically for free and for a lot of people. You've been a mentor for so many.
That's been the thing. It's been a life, just life in general, the experiences, the things that I've been through. And, we talk extensively. I mean, the ones that are no longer here that we lost, right?
Yeah.
And the ones that I lost, the trials and tribulations, the ups and downs, the beauty of it, the ugly of it. How do you get out of it? When you're in a rough spot. Just life in general is what inspired me, and the connections and relationships that I have with people, just kind of fuels it. I think that's just the biggest inspiration of it all. Just life in general.
I love it. I think honestly, the part of my inspiration for this podcast now, because people have asked me a lot, right? To continue about just because true to life doesn't necessarily translate to student athletes right away, but how we just talk life so much as a whole. I'm so fascinated that every person, regardless of what they're doing, it's the gift of life, and then just being true and authentic to yourself. It's you honestly talking about inspiration. I mean, I took a lot of inspiration from you in regard to like the Grateful Hoops and just the life aspect of like it's all we really have at the end of the day, and it's like truly special.
Absolutely. Yeah. What else do we have? There's nothing that we're going to take with us that's on the external. Nothing.
100%.
And none of it matters at the end
all
of the day.
the phone, you can have everything. You have the phones, the computers, tablets, the TVs. Like, it doesn't matter.
And most of the time, a lot of people that have that, at some point in time, you get bored, right? Because you have access to it all the time.
Yeah, like the cars, houses. I mean, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a couple kind of quick questions for you. What are the ways that you manufacture confidence for yourself? Because I know a lot of athletes struggle with confidence. So what are the ways that you manufacture that for yourself to feel more successful and confident when on the days that you're not feeling it? I said quick, but that's kind of a loaded question. So we'll just
that is a loaded question.
Whatever
right?
you
So
got.
let's okay. Let me ask you this: younger me or now me?
I think now you just looking back at it, or it's gonna be tough if you
Yeah.
if you do have both, because from the younger self who was like that student athlete and a basketball player, and then now looking at it as well, I think it'd be a cool perspective.
Then my parents were, it wasn't necessarily like just me. I was close, like it was my family, my sister. They were the ones that when I would think about, okay, I'm having this bad time or whatever the case may be, it would be my parents because the sacrifices that they made in order for me to be where I was. So it was important for me to finish this off. Now, recently published an article, Be Do Have Paradigm, and you and I have talked about this several times. Yeah. It's the only place that I live. I live in the Be Do Have, and for ones that don't know, be what it is that you're going to be, right? Be happy, be successful, right? When you are being in a state of being, you'll do the things that give you that, and at the end you'll have it. We have lived it backwards. We always say, if I have $1 million, right, I'll be happy. If I had a girlfriend, I'd be happy, right? That's not necessarily the case because then you're always going to be chasing. But if you're already being happy, walking upright, being confident.
Yeah, it'll follow.
Like we said earlier, as far as taking care of things in the classroom first. If you take care of the small things, you'll always get what it is that you want. Always.
That's big time.
I've never known it not to.
Yeah. That's big time.
Yeah.
I like that one. So you said like your parents and thinking about the sacrifice as far as building confidence. I would like for some people that maybe don't have the supportive family, there is somebody out there that has sacrificed for you. So I feel like that rule applies across the board still. I mean, just having that point of reflection is, even if it's like just a coach, like someone has given up something for you to be here.
Correct.
So just acknowledging that and using that to fuel yourself too, I think is big. So one thing you're really good at it, and I wanted you to talk about it if you can, is like the power of silence. Because there's times that you use it in spaces where, even I remember in high school coming into your room and I would be sitting here and I'd be asking you questions. There's times I'm like, he's not talking that much. He's just sitting here. And as I've now not been around you as much, and just because of school and everything, and this summer I've been away, and I've seen how speakers, how they take pauses and use like silence and that intentionally. And in listening circles, the last person to talk and just listening to other people and really just being quiet, just how powerful that can be, the power of silence. So if you could provide a space to talk about that a little bit.
Certainly. A lot of times silence is the loudest thing in the room, right? I learned to do it as far as coaching, teaching, is to get whoever I'm talking to dig deeper. Because a lot of times what's going to happen is you're going to start to think a little bit more, right? Because you'll be like, well, why is he not saying anything, right? So should I elaborate more? So it gets you to dig deeper. So then I sit back. So sometimes you'll ask me a question. If I don't answer it right away, you're going to end up answering because you've dug a little deeper. So that silence.
It's very effective.
Yeah, that silence gets people to, just think a little bit more. We did an exercise the other day, and did it with the teachers. And I said, "Why do you teach?" Right? And then I had them discuss with each other, right? And then I shut them off. And then I said, "Hey, the person that was just talking, tell the person why you teach." And they was like, "You just asked that." I was like, "I know. Tell them why you teach," right? And I did it 3 times. Reason why, because you go deeper and more. The first answer is usually surface. Second time, you start to dig a little bit. Third time, I'm really starting to figure out why do I teach, right? So same as being silent. The more that I'm silent, you start to dig a little bit deeper as far as what your answer is or what you ask me, right? Because I'm only in return wanting you to see that you actually have the answer, not me.
Yeah, no, it's very, very cool, very effective. So I thank you for sharing. Do you have a favorite quote that you could share with us off the top? It can be a Coach Fred quote, or it can be something you've picked up along the way.
Honestly, my favorite right now is mine. I won't say it explicitly, but so if anybody knows, at a certain point in time in the 90s, hip hop and gangster rap, it was MOB, and it was money over, right? So I've in my life coaching world, I've come with mindset over BS. And I think that is it is my favorite. Like I said, I made that, and I'm gonna trademark that. I'm gonna get that out there. But I think mindset is the biggest thing that some people lack, right? So that's why I said, mindset over BS, because I think it matters the most.
Just getting caught up in all the BS out there, as opposed to just focusing on what you can do about it.
Correct.
Yeah, spot on. You know what? I did want to get us out of here quicker, but I have one more question. I'm just going to add
Cool.
Controllables versus non-controllables, because oftentimes student athletes, but most people, it's hard. They focus on the things that they can control when it should be the reverse. And this is something we've talked about extensively as well, is me getting caught up in things I really just can't control. And I'm getting more fatigued than I wish I was, or like my defense or the cardio, I'm missing shots, and some of those things you can control, some you can't, but oftentimes we get caught up in stuff that we really can't fix right now anyway, so why do we focus so much time on that? So what's your advice on that?
It's kind of this was kind of hard, right? Because that's a lifelong journey to get over.
There's not
that
a one
piece,
step
right?
fix.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's very, very hard, right? I've just gotten to the point in my life where it's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter, right? So if it does not harm me, harm my family, things of that nature, right? Like something that is super unbearable. Like I don't really worry about it too much. I don't stay fixated on too many things, especially something that I can't control.
Yeah.
Because what does it do, right? Because I'm going to complain, I'm going to do this and do that, right? And nobody cares.
Getting caught up in the BS.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, nobody cares.
Truly cares.
No, they really don't, right? Because the people that do care will show you, right? I'll give you this example. Hopefully this hits home to a lot of people, right? People that listen. So I stopped going on Instagram. I ain't been on since January, right? I honestly don't feel like I'm missing anything. But here's an important thing that I'm really learning, right? The people that matter in my life already knew who you were in the first place, right? Because if I really matter to you, you'll pick up the phone, you'll text me, right? You didn't have to message me through IG, through a superficial thing, right? If you want to know how I'm doing or if I went somewhere, you would call and ask me if you really matter to me. Anything else doesn't matter. Right, so if I get on IG, whatever I post, who am I doing that for? Am I doing that for me or am I doing that for the people? Right? Am I doing that for the attention? As we was talking about, right? People are always seeking that attention, right? We want that like.
Acknowledgement.
So the people that matter to me know me and can contact me. I'm tangible. That's not tangible to me. And that's just only me. So there could be people that disagree. But my life has been a lot better because now I'm not worried, right? If people like what I said. At the end of the day, it don't really matter anyway.
Dang, that's big. I'm kind of taken aback just thinking about how we really do live in that social media world. I mean, I'm definitely a victim to it. I'll speak
We all
honestly.
We all are.
Yeah.
We all are. Yeah.
I mean, so I'm trying to think because I remember there was a time in high school where I wasn't playing well, for multiple strategies. I think I've shared this on this podcast a little bit earlier, different episode, but I'll share it again in a little more detail. So I remember, I think it was sophomore year. There's a stretch I wasn't doing to it. I remember driving home with my mom after a game, and she was just kind of like, "Do you really want this? Like, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to keep playing?" She was like, "Because it really doesn't look like it. You look like you're checked out. You look like you don't really want to do this. Like, I'm not going to keep on putting this money into training, driving you places if you don't really want this." And I say that to say when I got home that night, it was funny because she got me all hyped. I was all motivated after that, right? And motivation sometimes comes and goes, but this stuck for the next like 6 to 8 months. I deleted all like the streaming service apps on my phone and all social media. And something that's funny, I just want to share this on the side, is I remember going on my social media and putting on there that I was going to be off of it for a little bit. And truthfully, no one actually cares that you're going off of it. But at the time, I did that. And I remember for those next 6 to 8 months, I was laser focused, locked in. And I remember coming back out of that after I'd really found myself. And now I have a different look at social media. I don't have my notifications go on. I'll go on when I want to just put something out there, but I'm not trying to use it as much for myself anymore. I just have it out there because I am trying to grow content in my profile and my own brand and stuff. So that I try to use it more in that way. But I still find myself falling victim to little things and how many likes I get on this. And I'll speak transparently and honest, authentically about it. I fall victim to it. How many people viewed my story? I don't have any DMs, stuff like that. It doesn't really matter, but you still fall victim to it. So I try to limit my time on those services. But it was one of the most rewarding things was stepping away from it for those 6 to 8 months. It was big time.
I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember, and your mother even told me that conversation that happened on the way back. And so I do remember that. One thing that I want to point out with you, right, and what you said. So you do want to grow your business and all that. Yes, that's intentional. That's not seeking attention. You're trying to grow something that is going to prosper for you, right? So you're not lolling back, putting something in a post and then watching it and seeing.
Yeah,
it.
no, I
you know what I'm saying? Like
closing it after that. Yeah,
it's an intention of something that you want to manifest, and that's business, right? You want to prosper, you want to be abundant.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that, But everything, I want to say social media. I think was created for all the good, but we know what happens.
Yeah, got in the hands of.
Yeah. And it happens, right? So,
man, yeah, this has been a great space. I really appreciate it. Thank you. You mentioned it earlier, but I do again just want to thank you publicly again just for allowing this space. You've been one of the guests I've really wanted, obviously because of our relationship, and I mean being such an instrumental figure in my life as a coach, as someone that I can text or call anytime. I remember you were one of my first calls after I heard the news about HNU. I know that we don't have to talk for 6 months, a year, 2 years. I know if I call you, you always have my back no matter what. And to have a space where we can kind of talk about some of these things that we've talked about for such a long time is really special to me, and hopefully it's reaching some people out there. So thank you for jumping on. Got the mic on, got the camera. It'll be on YouTube.
Yeah, man.
So,
I appreciate it. That's all I can really say is I appreciate it. Yeah, man. So I'm just really proud of you, the strides that you made. And I mean, from day one, I didn't know you were going to grow like that, man. And I'm talking physically, you know what I'm saying, like all that stuff. But just to see, man, and to be around you and to be around your family has been truly remarkable. And that's, I mean, honestly, people, this is one of the reasons why I retired on him. Just at that time, I thought it was time, man. We had something very, very special, and not just on the basketball piece of it, man. We grew in more ways than one, and we could always talk and put the game and life together. So that's the piece that I admire. So, no, I appreciate you, man, and super proud of you and what you're doing, and can't wait for more of it to happen. So, yeah.
So for a little bit of background, we started training when I was in 7th grade. It's been a 6-year journey, and it's going to be going pretty long after that, providing good health and everything. So Praying on that. So as I like to close out every episode with something fun, we go quick hitters on the way out. So I got 3 for you. What is your favorite comfort food meal?
Ooh, chili.
Chili. With some cornbread and honey, I hope.
I don't do the honey, but I do the
little cornbread.
Yeah.
Okay, good. If you're stuck on an island and you can bring 3 things, but I'm going to change it, 3 people.
Ooh.
And they can be dead or alive. They can be celebrities. They can be whoever you want. Influential figures, 3 people on the island with you.
Wow.
That's tough because I know you don't want to leave. I don't know you don't want to leave anyone out.
Yeah, man. That was tough. That was real tough, man. Man, I don't know how to answer this. So I'm gonna be honest with you because
we can change it up because this is one I'll steal from All the Smoke with Steven Jackson and what's his
Matt
name?
Barnes.
Matt Barnes. Yeah. So a dinner table, 5 guests, dead or alive. This is only a dinner. It's not a whole bunch of time on the island, so we're gonna tweak it. We'll go dinner, 5 people. Influential figures, anything like that. Who do you want on your table?
Man, I'm gonna go with Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Bob Marley, my grandmother that passed before I was born.
Absolutely.
Fifth one. I might bring in Aaliyah. I might as well bring in Aaliyah. She was my crush back in the day. So
love it.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. That is going to be a great dinner, and we'll make sure we serve chili there for you.
Yeah, it goes down.
All right, what's one place in the world you want to travel to?
Australia.
Hey, I have no doubt in my mind that you'll make it out. All right, those are some great answers. I love it. That dinner is going to be amazing, by the way. So thank you so much for taking the time and joining me for this episode. Super excited. We're going to keep bringing episodes out. This is episode 24. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. So, yeah, pretty good timing. Actually, I just thought about that. 24. Yeah.
Full circle, baby.
Yeah,
Full
that's
circle.
Amazing. So, again, if you heard anything from this episode, please reach out. I'll leave the blog articles and stuff. I'm going to put those links in the description to check that out, and you can see the stuff that he's doing as well. So really great. Please respond if you heard anything from this episode. Love to talk and interact, and thank you so much. We'll talk soon.